2006 Lexus lx470. Diagnosis: bad alternator. If you want to know the alternator or the battery is bad, symptoms is going to be the battery light came on. 95% of the time is going to be the alternator. Uh, the other 5% could be the battery is bad, the wiring is bad. Um, but if one quick way to check it is this: start the vehicle, um, this thing right here, the positive cable, remove it while the vehicle is running. If the car dies immediately, that means that the alternator is completely bad. It's just running on your battery right now, and it's not going to last more than maybe 10 minutes. And you're going to have to replace the battery because you're going to pretty much kill it. Um, the job is pretty easy, I want to say. It's not more than 2.5 hours. For somebody who has experience, they can probably do it within a little less than an hour. The first thing you want to do, obviously, before you proceed is disconnect the battery. Disconnect the power source, positive cable, remove it completely, and then start working on it. I will suggest you to go ahead and buy the alternator, and the reason is this is exactly how it's set up at the bottom, in that same position. You're gonna see it like that at the bottom. You're gonna have one on the top, 14, 12 millimeter, 14. This is the long screw. Those are pretty short right here at the top. The once you remove them, the alternator is not gonna fall. It's gonna stay in there because it has some supports that go where it basically is holding the alternator on top. This is the hardest part of the whole job. It's gonna be this 10 millimeter bolt in there, which is the wiring for the wire that goes towards the battery, and then the switch relay that is in there. This one you can remove it pretty easy once you squeeze it in. But since you're not gonna be able to put your hands in the back because it's the space is very tight, you will have to remove this thing first and then pull the alternator out. That way you can twist it at the bottom. It's gonna be pretty much, you're gonna have to be holding it. You're gonna require either, if you have strong hands, you can do it. If you don't have strong hands, what I recommend you is just get a piece of wood and let it rest on top of the wood, because there are some hoses that you don't want to be leaving this thing on top of the hose that's pretty heavy. So once you remove this one, get one of those electric screwdrivers. You can do it under 30 seconds. This is the hardest part actually of the whole job, because you can't see it, and you have to remove this to be able to see it. Once you remove this out, it's very, very easy. The first thing you're gonna do is locate the alternator, which is right below this power steering pump. Is right below it. The first thing you do when you start the job after disconnecting the battery, you're gonna remove this cover for the engine. It's got 4 10 millimeter bolts right there. Then remove the intake, okay, right here, and it goes all the way to the back. So this also takes a little bit of a job to do it. Once you remove this, you'll have plenty of space to work through here. You don't have to remove the radiator. You don't have to remove all these hoses. You can easily work through this space. That pulley right there, this pulley, once you remove the serpentine belt, after you remove all of these things, the next step is removing the serpentine belt, which is right there, this thing right here, right where it falls, right here, where the serpentine belt falls, right there. This is the pulley right here. It's 14 millimeter, and you're gonna twist it towards the passenger side to loosen up the belt. Pretty easy to put the belt, and pretty easy to remove it. Once you remove the belt, get to the power steering pump first. You see these 2 screws right here, 1 and then 2 right there. Those are 14 millimeters, and the way you get to them is this pulley has gaps. See how can I stick my See right there, it has gaps so you can get to those bolts. The reason why you want to erase that out of your head, loosen them up, those screws, enough. There are 3 of them, 2 at the top, 1 at the bottom right there. You can't see it, you can only see it from the bottom. But the reason why you want to remove those, I mean, again, not remove them, but loosen them up, untie them, I guess, is so you can pull this pulley forwards, and it will move about 3 or 4 inches. Again, the reason you do that is because once you remove the bolts from the alternator, it's not gonna come out. And it's really about 1 inch that this pulley is also on its way. So that's why you loosen up this pulley right here, which is the power steering pump, and then the pulley will move forward about 4 to 5 inches, which is enough space for the alternator to easily come out. Once you get the alternator out, the wiring that I had told you about right here, that's a pain in the ass. So you're gonna have to twist it. Get a piece of wood so you can rest the alternator because it's pretty heavy. I mean, I was able to do it because I was holding it with one hand and I had an electric impact wrench next to me. But sometimes you cannot stick that in. I was pretty lucky. But if you get a small, tiny wrench, just get in there. This is the hardest part right here, removing these 2 components, because you can't see them. But once you remove this thing out, you'll be able to see them by twisting, playing around with the alternator. Just move it side to side. That way you can remove this, and then basically it will be completely loose. And now you can remove it. You will notice that as you're removing it, you are also moving the power steering pulley. As you're pulling it out, it'll move, but it will not come out because you didn't completely remove these bolts. So once you get the alternator out, which all you need is about 1 more inch, you will basically free the alternator, and it can come very easy through the bottom. Once you remove those that cover, which has about maybe 7 or 8 screws all over around, those are 12mm bolts. You'll find them, just look for them. They're all on the side of this structure. I think that's one of them right there, and then there's like that's another one right there, and they're all over on the side. You'll see them pretty easy. It's not a hard job. You can do it. It's just it does require patience when removing the alternator because it's pretty heavy, but very easy job. It'll save you about the technician, my friend, he charges usually $300 for this. It will take you about like I said, 2 hours at the most for somebody who's not experienced. Somebody who's experienced can do it under an hour, and all you need is 3 tools, some wrenches, some extensions, and 12, 10 and a 12 and a 14mm sockets. That way you can get the job done. You don't have to remove the radiator again. You don't have to remove none of these hoses if you don't feel comfortable for some reason, because the hoses might change. Some hoses they swallowing and they end up blocking a little more. Well, then you can remove this hose, but notice that you're going to spill some coolant. Usually this is enough space, as you can see, enough for you to loosen them up, those bolts. So that's it. If